to you, our listeners and viewers out there, I want to talk to you about what makes this podcast work. Number one, we have different strength. Garrett and I are different individuals. We do share a lot of things in common, like our reading habits and our love for history and a few more. But I am more on the creative side. And Garrett?
I prefer looking into the content of the podcast more.
Yeah. So because of that, some of the things we write, we put together. So I do some of the editing and also do some of the creative writing. And Garrett does the research.
Yeah, and in talking about that, our podcast structure is kind of unique.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk a little bit about the structure of the podcast that you can be expecting, at least for the first season.
That's right. So each episode begins with a narrative. And the narrative is the creative part. That's where you get to listen into the story. And the story is told from the perspective of the individual we're focusing on at the time that we're telling that story.
Yeah, so it's not a discussion. It is from the perspective, like Jermaine just said, of the individual that we're reading from in Scripture.
That's right. And then following the narrative,
Then we about 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Then we jump into the discussion.
Right. So 5 minutes of a narrative from that perspective of the biblical character. And then as soon as that is over, we jump into the discussion together.
So the narrative, we have to mention, does raise some of the questions that we're going to be answering in the discussion portion.
Right. So the narrative is important because it kind of sets the stage for the discussion, and it kind of gives some sneak peeks into what the podcast is going to be about. But we're excited because the narration is a great outlet for your creativity. It challenges my creativity as well. We have to research pretty deeply into them to make sure that they're accurate. I think a lot of you will like those narrations. But again, Jermaine, we're like 2 months out from this whole thing happening.
That's right. And we keep talking about it, but we haven't necessarily given our listeners an opportunity to hear what it's like. So we want to do something special.
All right, let's talk about that.
So what we want to do this year is that before we launch the full season in December 30th, we want to give you a sneak peek of that narrative that we're talking about. So we're going to be launching that on November 29th, which is Black Friday.
All right, so day after Thanksgiving, November 29, we're planning on giving you a sneak peek part of the narration of one of the random episodes. Not going to be the first episode, but you're going to get about 2-3 minutes of the narration of one of the episodes of this upcoming season.
Yep. And you have to listen because this is not going to last very long. We're just releasing this for 10 days. So November 29th to December 9th. And then that's it. The narration is going to disappear. So you have to listen to it. You have to share it. And yeah, I mean, you can always tell us what you think as well, because we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, so everything on this podcast is by design. So you have 10 days to listen to it. Life of Moses, you have 10 commandments, yeah.
That's true. You see, that's the creativity.
10 episodes.
Yeah, 10 episodes. So November, don't forget the date, November 29 to December 9. That sneak peek is going to be available on our platforms. And yeah, please listen in and share it and let us know what you think.
All right, see you then.
See you then. Bye.